This is Dawn Shuler, CEO and founder of the Shuler Group, and I am bringing to you this video to demonstrate the power of our company climate inventory. It's our proprietary diagnostic tool that we are very proud to use to help organizations create a positive culture, focus on employee engagement, get a measurement of how they're doing in areas they want to measure, and get a sense of the overall health of that organization. Here are some common problems that we see organizations facing, especially in this day and age. Everything ranging from problems with communication and culture to lack of productivity, lack of employee engagement, which can result in absenteeism, employee turnover. We are hearing that a lot of employees are experiencing high stress. Some of that is from the environment in which we find ourselves, as well as high workloads. The Great Resignation is real and is here to stay. Some experts are calling it the Great Reshuffle or the Great Re-identification, because it's not just that employees are resigning and leaving, but they are going to other organizations where their needs are being met. 75% of the causes of employee turnover are preventable, and some reports say anywhere from 68% to even 80 and 90% of the causes of employee turnover are because of bad management. So how do you solve these problems if you are currently experiencing them, or at least experiencing some element of them? If you think it's the people, then you might decide to replace the people. However, firing people doesn't necessarily solve the problem, although I will say we do believe in having the right people in the right seats. You might be a progressive organization and you invest in leadership and management development, and that's great. And can you measure its effectiveness? You also might invest in technology and software to make your employees' lives more efficient and the work that they do easier. The issue with some of these solutions is, are they really getting at the root of the problem, or are they band-aids? The company climate inventory, the beauty of it is that it tells you exactly what is going on in your organization. The good and the bad, the smiles and the frowns, the warts and the beauty. It gives you a snapshot in time of that organization. So to get a little more specific, it is a diagnostic tool that measures several areas in an organization like culture, engagement, values, communication, management, engagement, collaboration with team. Everybody in the organization takes it anonymously, and then our consultants analyze the data and put together a pretty robust report that gives an overall picture of health, or lack of it, of that organization. If you are one of those who likes a little bit more information, here is our 4-step process. The first step is we collect information using our base company climate inventory of 80 plus questions. Clients can customize. So if there are areas that they want to explore or go deeper, or particular projects or initiatives that they want to measure, they can add questions that address those areas. The second step is that our expert consultants analyze the data and interpret it to create a measurable score for the organization. We use a combination of both technology platform as well as that human critical analysis. The third step is that we create that robust report, which is our main deliverable and is extremely valuable to our clients. The fourth step is that the organization can then implement the suggestions and recommended next steps that we outline in the report. They may choose to do this in-house or with another third-party organization, with us, or a combination of all the above. This fourth step, even though it's really on the shoulders of the organization, is still crucial. We tell prospective clients that if they are not planning on doing anything with the information that we collect, they should not even engage in the process. Because here's what happens. Employees take this survey. It's anonymous. And so many of them pour their heart and soul out into their answers, because some of those questions are open-ended questions and statements that require a textual answer. If they put all that information out there, all their suggestions, all of the here's what's going on, here's what's not working in my opinion, and the organization ignores it, things will actually get worse. It doesn't mean that the organization has to do everything that the employees tell them they want them to do, but they need to at least acknowledge it. Here's an example of a couple of pages in our report. The report itself can be anywhere from 30 to 40 pages or more, depending on the size of the organization. As you can see in the slide on the video, that this particular organization did the company climate inventory 2 years in a row. Actually, they've done it since then, but we're just including a redacted example here. So they have a score from the first year they took it. They have a score from the second year, and you can see that they went from 55.8% to 80.2%. And then we pull out a few of the questions and show how those apples to apples compare. We have our recommendations, and then for those open-ended statements, you can see that we include a word cloud for that visual representation of the answers, as well as what the textual answers were themselves. Again, anonymous, and we take out anything that could potentially be identifying in the report. So why would you want to do a company climate inventory? It seems obvious to me because knowledge is power, but to get a little more real and use the metaphor of an annual physical, if you go every year to your doctor, your general practitioner, and you get an overall checkup, it tells you about how you're doing, your health, maybe some problem areas. That's exactly what our company climate inventory is. It's an annual checkup for your organization. And then the report, which is gold, says here are the strengths of your organization and the challenges, and here's a roadmap of recommendations and suggestions and areas of focus so that you can improve and be on the road to better health. Lots of good things happen from doing a company climate inventory. First of all, because it's that snapshot in time, and it is from the eyes and ears and mouths and hearts and souls of your employees, you're getting real and as honest feedback as possible. Our report doesn't just say, well, here's what's wrong, here are your issues and challenges, but it also identifies the strengths so that you can maximize those and capitalize those. If there are issues that have been lurking under the surface, it brings them to light. And honestly, isn't that better? Most of the time when we deliver our findings, and sometimes those findings can seem pretty intense, our clients tell us that while they might be shocked at first, they aren't really surprised because they suspected that there were these issues lying under the surface. The company climate inventory simply brings it out into the light. The fact that a third-party organization is conducting this survey and the fact that it's anonymous helps ensure the validity and honesty of the answers. And finally, when you conduct a company climate inventory and it exposes those issues and it highlights those strengths, and then you take action to fill in the gaps, you get faster results. Could you work on culture issues and engagement problems in some other way? Yes. The company climate inventory gives you real information and gets you there faster. Simply put, maybe one of the best reasons for you to do a company climate inventory is because in the end, it will save you money and time. If you are dealing with employee turnover, whether it's 1 or 2 or 10 or 50, there's a cost to that. And if you're looking even at one employee, the average cost of replacing that employee can be anywhere from 1/2 to 2 times that employee's annual salary. If you are looking at an executive, then you're looking at 3 to 4 times the annual salary. According to the 2021 Bureau of Labor Statistics report, the annual turnover rate in 2020 was 57.3%. Not a big surprise based on the pandemic, the Great Resignation, and other factors. It's still pretty high. How much turnover is your organization experiencing? Now, take what that cost is to replace an individual employee. And reports state that it can be anywhere from half of that employee's annual salary to 2 times. If they are a higher up executive, then we're looking at 3 to 4 times that person's salary to replace him or her. And then there is the issue of PTO, especially in terms of absenteeism, those important mental health days. If your people are routinely taking PTO because of high stress levels, for example, that's obviously affecting productivity, team collaboration, efficiency, meeting deadlines. If you have to replace an employee, then there is the ramp-up time to onboard that person. Conservative estimates say that it's at least 3 months for an employee to get up to speed. Other statistics say 6 months to even 1 to 2 years. Can you afford that time and that lowered productivity in bringing on somebody new? Overall, wasted time, low productivity, and time spent in conflict or miscommunication can total up to $544 billion each year as a loss to U.S. companies. And then finally, if you have toxic employees or even one, they can cause 78% of their coworkers to decrease their commitment to the organization, which could then cause them to leave, and 66% of the teammates to decrease performance. There are so many reports about the effect of one toxic employee and how that just worms its way through the entire organization. So who should conduct a company climate inventory? Of course, we think everyone should, just like everyone should go get an annual physical. The reality is that it's really going to be that innovative leader who understands the value and importance of doing a company climate inventory. And usually the driver is change. For example, one of our clients who conducted a company climate inventory wanted to do so because in the next 5 years, a third of the people in his company were going to be leaving either for retirement or changes in life circumstances or other miscellaneous reasons. So he wanted to conduct a company climate inventory to make sure that they knew what was going on currently and then create a culture in which they could attract people who were going to replace a third of his workforce. Another client wanted to conduct a company climate inventory because they had several changes going on at once in their organization. They were moving from a building they'd been in the entire life cycle of that organization, which was over 40 years, and they had a new CEO. So there were lots of changes that the new CEO wanted to get a handle on, as well as get that idea of what's that current climate? What's that status of the organization right now? That, of course, begs the question, who should not conduct a company climate inventory? And honestly, it's going to be that old fogey stick in the mud. This is how we've always done it. This is how we're always going to do it. We don't need to check in with our employees. Engagement is nice to have. It's not important. They aren't going to benefit from a company climate inventory and simply won't see the value in the information provided. Now, are there other employee engagement and climate surveys out there? Absolutely. So how does our company climate inventory differ from them? First of all, the report is accessible and usable. It's written by humans for humans. It does not use a lot of technical jargon and dry data. We do include some data, but we make it real and usable. That human factor is very important. So we, yes, use technology when applicable to help us analyze these results, kind of like using a calculator instead of doing long division in your head. But we have our expert consultants who analyze and interpret the data, and our process includes a system so it is as objective as possible. The fact that clients can customize questions and go deeper in some areas or measure a particular project or initiative that they've undertaken is different as well. And finally, the report is a deliverable for the leaders of the organization. They're the ones who hired us. Some organizations ask us to create a report that's applicable for the full staff and do a debrief for the entire organization. This is actually awesome because that really helps improve communication and transparency, and it brings the engagement up even more because employees feel like they're part of the process. They took the survey, they know what they answered, and now to see the results, and it's not just the leaders who get this information, but everybody, it really is powerful. A quick story. In one of our debriefs, there was an administrative assistant who was asking questions, and she was excited to see that there had been progress from the previous year to this year's CCI. And she said, I can't wait to see next year's results with all of the things we're implementing. Who gets excited about that? But evidently, because this particular organization made this available to everybody, they were part of the process, not just taking the survey, but hearing the results and the potential roadmap for bridging the gap. So when should you conduct a company climate inventory? When's the best time? Well, I would say now, whenever that is. Some companies want to do it same time every year. They want to do it maybe at a less busy time of year. Maybe they want to do it before a merger and an acquisition. Maybe they want to do it after a merger and an acquisition, or both. Now is the right time because that snapshot of the health of your organization is important information. And with that knowledge, you can then move forward. And that's why I want to talk about this. We hear a lot, oh yes, culture and engagement are very important in our organization. Okay, so let's get started working on that. Well, but we have these other things that are really a priority. These things are urgent right now, but maybe when we get past those, we can think about focusing some time and attention and resources on culture and engagement. The problem with that is that something will always fill in that blank of urgent. And if a company waits until things like culture and engagement become urgent, then that means there are real problems. And so then that road back to health can be a much longer road. I'd like to say it's still possible to get back to health, but now it's a longer road. And finally, if you work on your organization's culture, you fix a lot of problems that you might not have thought were related. For example, there is a direct correlation between higher employee engagement numbers and higher customer retention numbers. So, happy engaged employees equal happy returning paying customers. We've published 2 case studies using the results of our company climate inventory. One is called Creating a Powerhouse Organization, where in this particular company, things weren't bad. The leader simply wanted to know what was going on in his organization. Perfect reason. The second case study is called Restoring a Toxic Workplace, where there truly were some culture issues, toxic employees, and our company climate inventory not only uncovered that, but also gave a roadmap to fix some of those issues. You might be wondering how long it takes to do a company climate inventory. And of course, my answer has to be, it depends. Because some of that is dependent upon the client. So we always start with a pre-consultation, and this is where we work with the leader of the organization, sometimes a task force or a committee, to customize the questions and add those additional questions. We get the final approval. We set up the survey in the platform. We launch it to the employees of the organization. The client determines how long they want that survey to be open. Is it open for a week? Is it open for 2 weeks? We recommend anywhere from 1.5 to 2 weeks. Then after we close the survey, we begin the analysis and interpretation. We draft and finalize the report and submit our findings to our client in a debrief consultation. All in all, it can be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I talked about innovation and change. Complacency is the opposite of that. Complacency is when you say everything is okay the way it is, we don't need to make changes, everything will be fine. The problem is in life, as well as in business, complacency really has no place. Personally, we are ever evolving. Organizations are living organisms. They are constantly evolving as well. And so if you are not a fan of innovation and change, you're going to struggle a little bit more, or maybe a lot more. Company climate inventory forces that organization out of complacency and into change and innovation and thriving. I want to end with who the primary consultants are for the company climate inventory. There is myself. I've been working in businesses and organizations for over 20 years, and I bring an expertise of communication and analysis and interpretation, as well as the ability to distill that information into a usable, accessible format. My husband and partner, Mark, has a master's degree in clinical psychology and has a background as a 28-year mental health therapist. And so, of course, he brings that communication and relationships and a bit of a family systems dynamics to the corporate world. We think the company climate inventory is one of the best things since sliced bread. If you'd like to learn a little bit more or hear how this could benefit your organization, I would love to have a conversation with you. Feel free to go to theshulergroupllc.com, sign up for a complimentary consultation there, and let's look at what we can do to make your organization thrive. Thank you.